Hello, family. So we've got Caleb Lesa here, a really good friend of mine. Hey, Caleb, how you doing?
Hey, Cal.
Yeah. He's actually checked himself into an awesome hotel because he can, which is so awesome. So Caleb, why don't you tell us a little bit about your coaching business and what you get up to, the mischief you get up to.
Mischief. So my role essentially is, if you've ever felt yourself get to that point where it's a stuckness, but it's not a stuckness from I don't know what to do. It's a stuckness from there must be another level. I'm super capable, but someone give me the roadmap. Someone give me the thing. I need to find my thing, because there's just this feeling inside of me that's like, I can do it, but I just don't know like what thing I'm meant to be doing. It's kind of chaotic, like inside, and you may resonate with this, as you feel like a loaded gun or like a loaded bow and arrow, and you just need a destination to shoot at.
Yeah.
And the thing is you've noticed this your entire life. You've always known that you were super capable, but for whatever reason, you kept selling yourself short. And so what we've come to understand is this is what we call redemption. So while I am a sales trainer, at the root cause of what's going on is this feeling of being redeemed, where that internal loaded gun feeling, you reach a place of clarity where it's like, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
I did the thing.
Totally. Because I think what I've come across is that with a lot of coaches or even like business people, sometimes, we both know that your business can't outgrow the business owner. And there's so much like internal self-work to be done. And under all that layer of the surface stuff, which is, I want to hit, double my profits or whatever it is. It's like, no, me as a business owner, I actually just want to know me, like how to love me, how to be kind to myself, how to, like you said, redeem myself. So it's so cool that you do that, Caleb, because I'm seeing a lot of coaches who are just stuck in implementation. They're just doing a shitload, but they're not actually addressing the core stuff that's going on inside. And it's great that you've realized that that's like your unfair advantage, like your unfair advantage that you get to help your clients with. Awesome. Thank you. So we've got you on here today because you are awesome at building a tribe of raving fans. I mean, how many people have you got in your Facebook group now?
About 450 people now.
Huge. And how, just to give these guys a bit of context, how long did it take for you to build those numbers?
So from the 450, I would say there'd be about 100 that are well familiar with my message, that will interact with me at any one point. So those other 350 is what I call nurtured. They're kind of just sitting there, or lurkers.
Yeah.
If you ever do that, they're like watching from afar and never comment. And then like sometimes 6 months down the track, they message you, be like, hey, I've been following you for 7 months. I love that video that you did last year. And you're like, oh, okay. Or even worse, you go to an event and they come up to you, they're like, oh my God, it's so good to see you, Caleb. And you go,
who are you?
Like, hello, you've never commented, you've never said hello, you've never messaged me. We don't actually know each other.
Yeah. And that is so common, because I went to a meetup networking function this morning, and they actually said for someone to actually engage in you and actually like message or make contact, 11 touch points before that really happens. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much work to be done here.
I heard Kerr and Ray say that it's up to 19 now.
Wow.
So
people are so uncommitted these days.
Like to build trust, it's 19 times, you were saying, especially on social.
Wow.
Social's a vehicle to do that, because like how could you have 19 radio ads in a day, right? Like
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, because I want to make something that I've been hearing from a lot of my clients and the people in this group is, how do I generate hot leads? So why don't we quickly give the listeners a bit of insight into what does a hot lead actually mean? Because some people think that a hot lead is someone who rocks up, who downloads your ebook, or like comes along to a workshop or like leaves you a fake number? Like what is your definition of a hot lead?
So hot lead, you want to jump up to the purpose, right? So if the purpose of a lead is for most coaches, which is to do business and to buy your stuff, then they need to be able to trust you, right? So they need to be familiar with you. They need to know you. They want to know who you're being, right? So the root cause of what people are buying is being. And this is why the flip side to this is it's why you would buy, say, Coke over Pepsi. Pepsi has like some kind of brand associated to it that you obviously you don't want to be associated to, whereas Coke is something else, and it's largely due to marketing, but it's also true in your coaching business. Is there'll be clients that will work with you, Cal, that would hate my style of coaching, right?
And vice versa.
And vice versa. And so this kind of kills this idea of scarcity mindset, because that's bullshit, really, because people they're buying the being, right? Yeah. So at the top of this is a hot lead is somebody who digs who you're being.
Yep.
And they've got to the point where they know who you're being so much that it's just effortless. Like they should arrive at the conversation, and if you should just like get along. It's like talking to you 6 months ago. It's been like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, oh, you're doing that thing 6 months ago, or in 12 months ago, whatever it is for you.
Yep.
So hot lead,
Yeah. So I wonder. I'm gonna add to that, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. I don't think that simply by knowing who you want to be and seeing those characteristics and those traits in that other person necessarily makes me a hot lead, because I could just be curious and not actually committed, right? So, and we use this analogy when we chatted to Darcy, and it's where your client is right now is, let's assume that's island A. Where they are right now, where they want to be is island like C over here. Now, between these two islands, there's this tollway, and right in the middle is this toll booth. And that's you. It's when they know that you can solve that problem for them, they come up to you, they drop off their money, and they keep going. Now, I wonder if my definition of a hot lead is someone who's like standing at the toll booth. They're like ready to get started. They're ready to give you their money. They're just waiting for you to say the magic words of, what shall we do next? Like, we should work together. Yeah. Like, for me, that's a definition of a hot lead. How does that sit with you?
Well, I think in the case of solving problems for clients, a client that I interact with won't know that they're actually buying redemption, right? So if I said to you, you work with me and you're buying redemption, I'm selling you redemption, you go, what?
Because that's the emotional outcome. They don't,
It's a problem that they're experiencing that they're not entirely sure that they have yet.
Yep.
So what gets them in front of me is what they can understand, which is sales, plus who I am. So it's like you say, it's the logical outcome, which is be better at sales.
Yep.
Plus who I am. And that gets them curious, because they're experiencing Island 1, right? Yep. They're experiencing Island 1. They see who I'm being at Island 2, and they see outcome on Island C, and that's about as far as they go.
Got it.
So then when they speak to you, they know that who you are being, and they know roughly where they want to go. So then my job becomes, through the sales conversation, to help you realize the implication of Island A, what's actually going on. And if you look at Island A, for the people that come to me, they are all experiencing what we call redemption, or what we talked about that's at the start, the feeling like a loaded gun that you've been selling yourself short for too long.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like how I see it happening.
So if we translated this for our listeners, because we've been using this island analogy, so I'm going to keep reinforcing it. It's like where where they're at right now is Island A, and they can see a whole bunch of other people on Island C who they're like, oh my, which are like people that you've worked with, testimonials, and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, it's like a sales outcome, right? And they're feeling, oh my gosh, I want redemption. Like that's the pain that they're experiencing. And they look at you and they're like, oh my gosh, Caleb can actually help me get there. So because of the combination of they like who you're being and they know the results that you can help them to achieve,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, okay, time to like get off Island A and actually maybe make some inquiries and do some work together, possibly.
Yes.
That's what makes them a hot lead.
Yes. Yeah. It's at the moment when they want to understand what Island A is really about.
Yeah, got it.
You won't necessarily fully understand Island A.
Yeah.
But once you do, you're like, well, now I really don't want to be here. Okay. No. I don't. You don't understand. I don't want to be here. Take my money. Let's go. I want the island. Let's make it happen. I've seen you can do it. Let's go.
So how do we then convert, say, someone who just sees you popping up on Facebook, doesn't maybe necessarily know much about, let's assume they don't even know you at all.
Mm-hmm.
How do you turn someone who has no pre-existing relationship with you into a hot lead then?
Patience.
Did you hear that, everyone?
Patience. I can't spell it, but it starts with P and ends with ence. Patience.
I think there's a silent Y in PH as well.
Patience. So to go back to how long did it take to build a community, it's roughly 6 months that I spent. And we'll get more into the nitty-gritty of that later. But what you want to understand is there's a process, and it's almost, when you first hear it, you'll think that there's no links in this process. But then upon seeing it, understanding it, thinking about it, slowly in your mind, you'll draw the links about where it's happened before for you in the past.
Show it. Come on, show us your whiteboard.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right.
Something you prepared earlier.
Dun, 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 dun. I have to get rid of my pretty face. Anyway, let's just show you one step at a time. I'll give you the overview, and then we'll break down each step.
So we've got aware, interact,
Yep.
engage, and then advocate. Awesome.
That's it. Yeah.
Cool.
So the helicopter view of this is, we'll just keep the awareness there. See this? That's a smiley face. Right? So the helicopter view of this is the process in which your client will go through in trusting you. It's almost like the structure of trust. And so at the very start, awareness is for everyone that is not familiar with you at all. Right? So someone who sees you in awareness does not know who you are. They do not trust you. It's like getting meeting
like
someone on a
Facebook
train.
Post. It's them seeing you on their news feed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so a massive mistake that we see in some of the Facebook marketing is they say like, hey, download this ebook, make it happen right now. Because you're trying to go from awareness to advocacy straight away. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
and advocacy, guys, is actually, do you want to speak to, actually, should we quickly go through all the steps?
Yeah.
So then they know what the definitions are?
Yeah. So we'll get to advocacy in a second. But so that's the awareness step. And the more energy you pump in this side, the more comes out the backside. I said backside. So the second step, we'll go through all of them now. The second step is interact. Right. So after you have people, look at my face. So after you have people becoming aware of you, seeing your content, they'll start to interact. And interact is when they start liking, they're commenting. You'll still actually have a lot of those lurkers, people that watch content and never say anything. So it's not always the best measure to go, hey, my content got no likes, I should probably not do it anymore. It's not true, because you're building the first step, which is awareness. Right? So after that, they interact, and then they move into what we call engagement. And that's where they'll be curious, right? So they'll start downloading ebooks, they'll start potentially even inquiring with you at the sales process, and potentially even becoming clients at that step, right? So that's why I got the dollar sign there, because that's when they turn into dollars. So far, awareness was low trust. Interaction, they're starting to trust you. Engage is they do trust you. And the last step is advocacy. And advocacy is when they start talking about you when you're not in the room, right? They start becoming raving fans where they show up. Yeah, they start subscribing to your lives. They show up. You start seeing them, right? It's the same 6 people that show up on all your lives.
Yeah.
They're your advocates or your raving fans.
Yeah.
And at that stage, they trust you so much that they will just scream to everybody, which is why we've got a microphone, and scream to a whole bunch of people.
And guys, how this applies, like, because let's talk about the practical application of that 4-step process. So in my first 10K group, you would have seen maybe at some stage it popped up as a Facebook ad, or it was a promoted sponsored ad on Facebook. So then you're like, oh, what's this, my first 10K thing? Like, I've spoken to so many people where they're like, I just kind of saw this pop up. Like, my friend was a member in it, so I thought I'd click on it. So you became aware. And then the next step was you clicked and you opted to join the group. And then we started interacting, because you probably would have received a personal message from me where I was like, hey, I noticed you joined. I'm curious where you're at in your business. How can I help you? And then you would have been like, you would have either said, not interested, or Cal, this is where I'm at. Yeah, let's hop on a call or something. And then, which leads to the next step, which is engage. We would have either had a sales conversation, or you've been engaging in the posts, asking questions, getting the niche identifier from the group. And then through working together, like, I've got some clients now saying, Cal, I'm in this other group with all these other coaches. Can I invite them into this group? Which means that we've built advocates for people to join the group. So that's how it plays out. And it's a process. It takes time. Let's say, how do we, because I'm trying to think, what would be a question that some of the viewers in here would be asking right now? And it might be, okay, how do I actually even make someone aware of me to start off with?
So the structure that we're using with this is, the how we do this, the strategy behind this, is it revolves around any kind of awareness. So when we think about awareness, I just want you to think about slapping your hand into a pond and seeing the ripples go out, right? So the more times that you chuck rocks in, you splash around in the pod, the more ripples go out. Now, the more ripples that go out, the more likely you're going to hit a piece of wood that's floating, and it's going to bounce back at you. And this is when you're starting to get your first interaction. So that may be something like doing Facebook posts on other established groups, other established communities. It may mean doing Facebook Lives, doing videos. You want to generate content that's called utility content. And so what I mean by utility content is it's valuable. People can read it and it solves a problem for them. Doesn't have to be a big problem. It just wants to solve a problem for them.
So it's relevant to them. Because what I'm noticing across Facebook is that sometimes coaches are just going out there and teaching a model. Like, they're like, 6 core needs, or like 3 universal fears, and they just talk about the model, but it doesn't speak to a specific problem or teach anyone anything. So it's not relevant. And I think what problem that creates is the person sees you, so it actually does build awareness, but it doesn't build awareness as to, okay, how can they actually help me? Right? Which means that if you don't know, if your viewer doesn't know how you can help them, they don't know why they need to come to you. So they don't even know.
They won't interact.
Yes.
Yeah, they won't. If it's not utility-based content that's consumable, they won't interact. Right? So they won't like, they won't comment, they won't lurk. And a good measure that you're getting enough awareness is that you have haters, right? So I'll give you an example. If 100 people see your content and 1 person hates it, that's ideal, right? If you have 1 hater, chances are there's 99 people who've seen it that aren't a hater. So a really good litmus test is if people aren't criticizing your work, they're not making fun of you, then you don't have enough awareness. No one's hearing of you. No one cares.
Yeah.
So you need to start generating enough content, enough awareness for someone to go, no, I don't like that. That's ideal, because that one person represents 99 others that love it. Well, at least like it.
Yeah. And I think the other thing on top of that is you actually at the end of the day want to stand out. For you to build awareness, you need to look at what and Darcy shared this, I think, last week. You need to look at what 85% of the population is doing and do the opposite. I don't know if you've read this book. It's got it here. Oh, such gold. Have you read it?
I haven't, but Steve spoke at Darcy's event. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh. I read this the other day and it listed a whole bunch of ways as to how you can learn to stand out in your marketplace. And it could something as simple as picking a color of clothing. So I wear orange, and over the past 2 days, I had one person at the gym being like, Cal, I've got orange things that just pop up on my screen all the time. I'm like, yes, she's noticing. Or I saw recently there was a coach who did a massive rant about things that pisses him off. And I know that the thinking behind it is he doesn't care that people are copying his stuff. He knows that we copy people's stuff all the time on the internet. It was just for him to create discussion and for people to notice his video. So for you, Caleb, maybe list for these guys, what are 3 things that you've done to help you build awareness? Yeah.
So the book thing, just by the way, is a fantastic example of advocacy, right? That's us having a conversation about Steve Clayton without Steve Clayton even know. But if you do watch this, Steve, what's up, man? This is like Steve Clayton's Inception style. What's up?
Steve, I've done this on 2 videos now. You're welcome.
Yeah. See, advocacy, right? So Steve is now getting brand awareness. He's gone through the process. Anyway. Yeah. So how to get more awareness. The structure of it is, and you engage as well. You brought his book, so that's money. So he's done the full cycle. So to get more awareness, this is what you would do. You would have a commitment, so weekly commitments to content. You want to be producing content minimum 3 times a week. Now, that might mean posts, that might mean Facebook Lives. You want to start producing content. Now, you want a place to house the content. So what I would suggest is you create a Facebook group. So create a Facebook group that is aimed at solving a problem for your market, right? Or your niche. You need to find out, what problem is your niche experiencing? Yep. And then create a Facebook group around that. And so what you would do is you do Facebook Lives, and you would do posts within that group.
So if we pause for a moment, so let's example what's the name of your group? So because it needs to capture the problem that you help them to solve, right?
Yeah, leaders, business owners, and salespeople become more authentic.
So it's super clear, so that when someone searches it or they see it popping up, they're like, "That's me" or "That's not me."
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So that's all well and good, but the question comes up is, I don't have anyone in my group, so who do I invite? So one of the strategies that works really well is these Facebook groups, they're organic in the way that they attract people. So what you want to do is you want to get some content in your group and treat this like a hub or a website, just a community that you're pulling people into. Then what you want to do is you want to reach out to other communities and you want to add value, add content to those communities. And the people that interact with you on those communities, you message and you say, hey, thank you for interacting with my content. I've got a group here. I'd love to invite you to it. It helps blah, 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 do blah, blah, blah. Right? And now you invite those people. So now you're starting to generate people within that community. They're not quite leads yet because this is a longer term strategy. Yeah. But you're generating people within that community. Yeah. Then what happens is...
Can I add to that?
Yep.
So there are 2 ways of inviting someone into your group. You can either just blast invite everyone on your contact list, or you can send them a private message like what Caleb's done and said, and you say, hey, I thought of you, wondering if you're interested, and you get them to opt in. Because their hotness increases way more when they actually choose to join, as opposed to you already inviting them and assuming they're part of the group.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I wouldn't invite randoms. Right? You want to. The last thing you want is a whole lot of people in your group that don't know you.
Yeah. And who don't want what you have.
They don't want to know you. So
yeah.
You don't let anyone in, and you don't just, it's not about numbers. You don't want, like, I've seen some coaches do this. They create a group, they invite their whole friends list, and then I'm in a group and they go, why am I in this group? Because they can just put you in the group, and then I get mad. And I'm like, don't put me in your group. I don't know who you are. I don't even, it's weird. You wouldn't do it in person. You wouldn't be like, just go up to someone, reach into their pocket, take out their business card and go, thanks, I'll put you on my email database. So don't do that.
Although what I have found is helpful is initially when you're starting the group, because you're inviting people who may not have a pre-existing relationship with you yet, is to invite some friends who can create numbers. So because when they click on the group, they want to know that there are actually people in the group. So it's good to have some people in there first, up to I think about 50. That's what I did. And then that way they're kind of, it's social proof.
Yeah. So it's your first fast followers, right? So, you know, up to 50, whatever. But it's not about the quantity. Yeah. It's better to have 100 people who are hyper interested in the problem that you solve, that have some level of awareness of you, some level of trust with you.
Yeah.
Because over 6 months, you'll end up nurturing them, looking after them, and they will move through the cycle to become engaged clients and eventually advocates. Not everybody has to buy to be an advocate. That's the other thing. So I'll have people in my community like rave about my stuff, but they've never bought from me. But that's fine, because they're marketing for me, telling people about me, having conversations about me in rooms that I'm not in.
Yep. I love what you said, because what that points to, and guys, this point is so crucial, is that it's like Caleb said, it's not a numbers game. You're not shooting for awareness. You're shooting for the moment anyone comes in, it's for the purpose of turning them into an advocate, and not just for the purpose of turning them into a sale. Because advocates create this ripple effect, and you don't really have to do much. They do the work for you, but you got to put in the work first by adding awesome, cool content that's going to help them solve problems that they're experiencing. Awesome.
So those things would be Facebook Lives, invites, put them into a group, and then look after them in the group, right? So from that group, run webinars. So it doesn't matter if no one shows up, right? This takes all the pressure off, because you just want this. You just want a whole lot of this until you start getting haters. So if you don't have haters, you're not doing enough stuff.
Yes.
So you want to jump in the pool and just splash, 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 splash. Make a noise until something comes up from under the deep, tries to bite you in the ass. That's how you know that you're doing enough awareness. Now, if that's not happening, you need to turn it up.
And I think, so you've mentioned, in terms of ways of building awareness, Facebook Lives, webinars. You've mentioned joining other groups as well.
Yep.
What to create some structure, because I know that when I first started out, if I committed to all 3 7 days a week, it was just really overwhelming. What were your KPIs that you set around marketing when you first started out?
So when I first started, I posted in the group every day.
Yeah.
I invited, I started posting in other communities like 3 times a week. So I chose 3 communities, posted them 3 times a week. Then from everyone that liked and commented on my stuff in other communities, sent them a message, invited them to my community. And then those were kind of the main KPIs.
Yep. Awesome.
And I've actually found that the more lives I do, the more clients I get. It's really strange how you think that might work, and they don't necessarily. This is the crazy thing about this awareness and advocacy thing, is some strange magical shit happens when you raise massive awareness. So if you committed to doing a Facebook Live every day for the next 30 days, and you had a clear pathway for people to interact with you, you will generate enough awareness to start getting interaction and potential engagement.
So what do you mean when you say with a clear pathway of how people can interact with you.
So that's the group. So bringing them into the group, looking after them in the group, having a workshop, having a webinar, something that they can do, download. If they ask you questions, do videos for them. If they need content, create content and exchange an email address for it. So
everything's directing back into your Facebook group.
Yeah, it's kind of like the hub.
Awesome. And I think one thing that you do so well, Caleb, that guys take note of this, is that he's incredibly consistent. Like, you'll go through a period where maybe the first 14 days you're doing Facebook Lives every single day and you don't get a single like, you don't get a single comment, and you're like so discouraged and you're like, what the heck? This isn't working. All right, I'm going to give up. Now I'm going to tell you, now that you know that, that's the point where you keep pushing through and you keep showing up. They're watching, they're lurking, they're seeing how much endurance you have, how willing you're still going to keep showing up for them day after day after day. It's almost like they're waiting for you to prove yourself.
Yep, yeah, they are.
Before they commit. It's
about 44 days is what I've seen. There's a lag period.
There we go, guys. 44 days.
Yeah, so if you commit to something for 44 days, it's strange. It's around 44 days, 6 weeks. It's just weird shit. Just go with it. And around that 44 days, something shifts. Something happens. It was the same when I left my job. It's the same. If you ever have a down period in business, it'll probably go for about 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And around 44 days. It's just weird.
Awesome.
Very weird.
Thank you. So, guys, 44 is the magic number. I like to say 90 days. That's a really good period of time for you to test whether a strategy is working or not. So if we just recap, the main key takeaways for me in our conversation today, Caleb, is that the thinking around this is go for advocates. You're building advocates, a tribe of advocates who will talk about you when you're not even in the room. And in terms of a tactical point, in terms of what the listeners can go in and actually do, it's create some KPIs around running webinars. So to build awareness, run webinars, Facebook Lives, join other groups, and go to networking functions. And like your way of introducing yourself, don't give away your business card, just add them on Facebook. Add them straight into your group if they're a good fit. All right, man. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there any last words that you'd love to share with my first 10K family around building a tribe?
If you haven't consistently taken action for 44 days, this is a metaphor, right? So if you don't have clients at the moment and you haven't consistently taken action, or you haven't, so a sale occurs, listen to my language, occurs when you offer your business 10 times. So if you can honestly look yourself in the mirror and go, I offered my business 10 times and I didn't get a client, now you've got a reason to complain because maybe there's something going on. But before then, you have not earned your stripes. So if you drop the expectations and you bring out and you look at perspective, this is a long game. There's no shortcuts. There's no short-term fixes. And if they try and say that stuff, hold on to your wallet and run away because it's not true. You have to earn your stripes. So patience, back to there.
So patience and endurance.
That's it.
Totally. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you coming on. So guys, if you guys have any questions for Caleb, feel free to post it in the comments below. We'll make sure that he gets them. And thanks, man. Thank you so much. All right, team. Enjoy the rest of your days and we'll chat soon. Bye, guys.